There are places you go to visit, especially on this occasion, on a vacation. When the visit or the vacation is over, you never get to forget that place. And without a doubt, I would have to say one of these places for me in Cuba was Malecon. What is Malecon? Malecon is a sort of like a place where, according to the history, what they told me, what it used to be a place where, boats from all over the world used to come and then just board on that shore. So the economy could be imported and the economy could be exported through boat as a form of transportation. Now, after the embargo and everything that happened to Cuba, they had to put a barrier. If you could see, there's like there's something that's holding people from having to jump into the water and staying on the side where there's land. And they can't turn it into a beach. Reason being, they would need more sands, and they would have to push the road back a little bit. So it can't be turned into a beach. It can only be a place where you just look at, you hang out, you feel the ocean, you sit there just to go over your thoughts. You also get to experience different type of characters that you get to meet throughout Cuba. Because if you don't have nothing to do when you go to Cuba, if you did not plan anything to do at all you have to do is just go to Malecon. Don't write anything down. Don't do anything as far as planning of the vacation or anything like that. Just go to Malecon. Sit there for maybe for a whole day. It is kind of equivalent to you having to spend a whole day having to do research. But if you go to Cuba, Havana especially, if you just sit there in Malecon, you'll run into different characters, different peoples that will tell you stories. And I don't know what it is. It's just something about the ocean, the water, the people that's just walking by, and the people that just trying to talk to you, and the people that are trying to tell you something that's going on within themselves. I guess the Catholic Church will consider this place as going to the Pope. Well, going to the priest or going to the Pope to reveal your sins. It don't really have to be sins. You could just sit there and just feel the energy of the ocean as it welcomes you, and also as it wants you to enjoy whatever it is that you're going through. And it want to make sure by the time you get to leave that place, the Malecon area, you go back to your place or wherever you're staying, that you are feeling in a way much better condition than you were when you first started walking around that area. So what happened to me was this. When I first got to Cuba, because I did a lot of walking, and as I walked a lot, I ran into a lot of people, and a lot of people wanted to talk to me, and I talked back to them, and most of the people, you could kind of like see the conversation was not really genuine, and they were friendly, but the conversation was not really genuine to the point where we're not talking just for talking. We're talking so later on I could give you money, which I don't blame them. There's a condition that's going on in the country, and they have to figure out a way to feed their family. And when they see somebody who doesn't know something about their country, they have to do whatever it is necessary to try to feed that child, to try to feed their sisters, to try to feed their mothers, to try to feed their siblings, and etc. So, with Malecon, my experience was every time I walked around Cuba, Havana, Cuba, and I felt like the condition that the people were in started to get on to me on a level where it was psychological, where how can people live like this? You know, are people happy? Yeah, people are happy, but are people really experiencing the full potential of what they could do with what it is that they know? Because you have a lot of smart people in Cuba. You do have a lot of smart people, and the opportunity is just so low. Then you run into somebody who's very knowledgeable, but the person is knowledgeable without any way of exporting that knowledge that they have, so the community could benefit off of their knowledge. So literally, you're walking around and you're realizing a lot of people have a knowledge of something and are deep into understanding of something, but they can't expand that knowledge or expand that experience so the community could benefit off of it. So it's like somebody who have been studying something for so long, they've been stuck inside themselves for so long, and they've gotten to a point where they could know as much as they want to know, but there is nothing that can be done about what it is that they know. Is there something that could be done? Let's play the devil's advocate. Yeah, there's something that could be done. You could either try to sell some stuff, and the one thing that I didn't kind of understand was, how is it there's water everywhere, but fish was not even sold in the market? And I saw people fishing, but the only thing that was being sold in the restaurants was really just chicken. And I didn't understand that. Like, why was chicken the only thing that was sold? And I didn't see a walking chicken or running chicken in Havana, Cuba. But every place where I go, as far as food, chicken was part of the menu. And you look at the ocean, there are people fishing, but people don't eat fish. I did not understand that. The majority of the people do not eat fish. Now, that just kind of like brought me to a point where, why is this person spending his whole day fishing, but he can't even sell the fish? It's illegal. I've seen some people who were selling fishes, but it's actually illegal to sell fish. Reason being is the government wants to take a big chunk of what somebody's labor was. Now, is it different from America? No, it's not different from America. It's kind of like the same game that we are all going through, where somebody does the majority of the work and they get paid less for what it is that they bring into a company. Look at the corporation in America or in Western country, the same as the system of communism work. There are business people, corporates, that runs the government. Now, in a communist country, the government, instead of individuals running the people. So you create a way to make money, whatever type of money that you make, unless you want to hide stuff from them, then you will be making money. If you don't hide anything from the government, you will not be making as much money. And that just kind of like put somebody at the position where they spend their whole life trying to know something, trying to understand something, and they become so great at it, And regardless of how many years they've been putting into knowing a skill, they still have to pay somebody who's looking over them for the effort that they have created. You know? So that part of effort, especially if you do something, or if you ever created something, or if you ever learn how to do something on your own, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a lot of focus on just ignoring everything else that's going on around the world and just focusing on what it is that you have a skill or you want to have a skill on. It's not just a button you press and then boom, you are special, or you specialize about a certain skill. You know, it takes times of frustration, it takes times of disciplines, and throughout that discipline, throughout all those frustrations, the question that you keep asking yourself, then you get to discover what is your skills. Now, when it comes to Cuba, what I have noticed is a person could be so good at what it is that they do, but they can't become the best. In a point where, in order to become the best, your competition has to be won over in a way that you could literally feel your victory. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this. If I've been doing something for 10 years and I started to make the money because of my knowledge, now I got somebody that wants to take a big chunk of my money, the same amount as somebody else who don't have the skill for it, but somebody gave them the money, and then all of a sudden they started boom. You know, they started doing the same thing that I'm doing because they borrow money, or they figure out a way to get the money, and then so they could get into the same business. Now, the percentage that I'm paying towards the government is going to handicap me to grow. The person who doesn't have enough the skills, they sooner or later they're gonna catch up with me. If later on they realize that they have to study. Now, if the money that I'm creating, the percentage of what it is that I have to pay towards something that I have created is at the point where it will allow me to earn a benefit, then in that case, I'm winning. But if it's not in that case, I'm paying the same amount of money towards somebody who had nothing to do with, I don't know, does the government really have something to do with what it is that citizens practice? If that person went to school for free, yes. But if the person did not go to school for it, no, they don't. That person is self-focused, self-thought, and self-discipline. Meaning the government has to collect less from them than it does towards somebody who went to school to take advantage of what the government has to offer. Because you have to notice one thing. One of the reasons why people go to school to earn a master's degree, to earn a bachelor, or to earn whatever it is that they have to learn, many of the cases is because they don't know how to focus towards what it is that they want to do in their lives. After they have accomplished the 4 years, or I don't know how many years it would take some other people, then they give them a receipt to obtaining success. But a person who has self-thought themselves, self-discipline, self-everything, nobody is looking at him as if like, hey man, we have to pay you here for the time that you have taken to make yourself understand this part of work, or this part of this art, or this part of creation, or this part of success, you know? So you find yourself, you are earning less. And if you was to create like a TV show, you wanted to put people who went to school to study something and people who self-taught themselves or how to do something, you will realize the person who had the discipline to self-teach themselves knows more about the subject than the person who has a PhD or who has a different type of I call it receipt. They call it degrees, but I call it receipt for having to borrow money to go to school so you could earn whatever it is that they think you will earn. They're literally giving you money. It's another way of creating money for the economy, but the person, is he really that worth it? Most of the time, no. The people who have PhD, the people who have master or who have whatever, they are not worth that money. They just give them that money because that loan that they took, it is part of what's creating the economy. And the person who self-taught themselves has not taken a loan to help the government create the economy. So that's the reason why people get paid after they go to school. So in Cuba, I ran into a lot of people who were smart, even they went to school. When it comes to a point where they have to do something, I understand some people are lazy. They don't want to do anything. But the majority of the people that really, really want to be successful, they realize, I'm not going to make much doing this. There's only one community or maybe sector that's going to get richer than my creation, which would be the government. Now, in colonialism, in a country like America, the person who is so great at whatever it is that they do in their job, they never become rich off of it because all their knowledge, all their skills, everything that they know, they give it to somebody that later on take the title of having to create whatever it is. A person went through so much pain to have to understand and to have to discover. All of a sudden, when you read who invented the microchip, they give you the name of a company or a CEO. So that person just goes on under the radar. Nobody remember that person. You have to dig deeper, and then you get to understand that that person used to work for that company. That's how that company got the technology, and they got the way of thinking towards having to create a specific technology or a specific way of doing labor or a specific way of getting society to become whatever it is that revolutionize a part of the community.
Alright, I've been walking for about 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think now it's time to go back, take a shower, and let the night begin. It is 4 o'clock p.m. right now. That's a lot of walking that I did. I'm glad I did that, and I'm starting to feel, it's not that I'm tired, that I'm feeling tired, but it's just I need water. And for some odd reason, I cannot find a place to buy water here. So I can't just keep walking and walking and not drink water. So I have to figure out who's selling some soda, some drink, and buy. They sell soda, but they don't sell water. That's very weird. That's something to think about. Figure out a way to get some water because I need some water. My mistake was putting sweaters and jackets in my book bag because I was thinking because it's winter, it's gonna be cold here. But nah, still bring summer clothes. So none of those jackets that I brought, I'm gonna wear. I'm just gonna be wearing light clothes because it's hot. And you need to get into some water. It's November, even though it's very cold. In the United States, some parts. When I left Atlanta, it was about 30 degrees. And when I get here, it's 75 degrees, 80 degrees. And 80 degrees weather, you don't want to wear no jacket. Alright? So that's something that you should know because I was more concerned about that as well. Bring clothes, but don't bring winter clothes. In Cuba, I'm in right now. This is Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, it's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So I know some part of Canada, some part of the United States is cold, and it'll get you thinking like, do I need a jacket? Well, you don't need to bring a jacket. I could actually get into this water and not feel cold. It might be a little cold, but it's not going to be cold the way I was thinking it would. So we're going to go ahead and stop. Peace. This is day 2.
So for me, Malecon was really a stress-free environment. Whatever it is that you go through when you go to Cuba, all you have to do is just walk around Malecon, and you will find yourself that whatever it is that you're seeing that's not making sense to you, when you walk down there, it brings you peace. And that peace, when it brings you peace, you go home, you sleep well. I did that for about every day that I was in Cuba. So every time I had a bad day or anything like that, all I had to do was just walk around Malecon. That was my therapy, because it is not an easy walk to the park. You will have a lot of fun, but you will have that one moment that just breaks down the way you're thinking into a different form or a different style of thinking about life. All right? So when you don't have nothing to do, just go to Malecon. Peace.